Jai Hind बच्चों. Today we are going to discuss about the hormones which is present in human body. Human hormones. Before discussing human hormones, we need to know about the glands which are present in our body. Just for an example, I wish to draw a human torso. Just imagine it is a human being. It is a normal human being. In the human body, very first of all, at roof of our brain, there is a gland which is known as pineal body. Pineal body. Just below the pineal body, there is a gland which is known as hypothalamus. Hypothalamus is basically the part of our brain which acts like a connecting link between our brain and the hormonal system or endocrine system. It is basically the connecting link between nervous system and endocrine system. Then just below it there is a gland which is just at which is just connected with the hypothalamus, which is known as pituitary gland. Pituitary gland. Then there is a gland which is present just along with the voice box. The gland is present in H shape. The gland is known as thyroid gland. Thyroid gland is basically the gland which is present in H shape like this. Okay. Just on the thyroid gland, there is also gland present over there in just like in button like structures, which is known as parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland. Parathyroid gland is not so much important if as we are discussing the CBSE curriculum. Parathyroid gland basically produces a hormone which is known as parathormone, and parathormone is responsible for regulation of some minerals into our blood. Then if we move some below, then near about to the heart, to the human heart, there is a gland which is present, that is known as thymus gland. Thymus gland. Just below to it, just below our lungs, there is a gland which is, we have already discussed, that the heterocrine gland, which is known as pancreas. Below the pancreas, there is a gland which is present just above the kidney. Above the kidney, in cap-like structure, the gland is present, which is known as adrenal gland. Adrenal gland. Then, in case of females, the gland which is present over there is known as ovary. And in case of males, the gland which is present, that is known as testis. Basically, these are the glands which are present in human body. Now, we will discuss one by one about the products of these glands and functions of their products, which are hormones. If very first of all, if we talk about the pineal body, then it produces melatonin. Melatonin. Melatonin is the secretion which is secreted by the pineal body, which is responsible for controlling of color of our skin. That's all. There are many other things are there about pineal body, but for us it is just about the melatonin, which is responsible for fixation, or we may say control of color of our skin. Then hypothalamus. There are some important things about hypothalamus. Very first of all, it connects central nervous system to endocrine system. That means it behaves like a connecting link between central nervous system, which is brain, and the endocrine system, which are glands. Basically, the hypothalamus produces two kind of hormones. Number one is releasing hormone, and number two is inhibiting hormone. Basically, these hormones controls the gland which control all other glands, that is pituitary gland. That means pituitary gland is being controlled by hypothalamus. It is the basic function of hypothalamus. If we reaches to the pituitary gland is basically produce a large amount of hormones, out of which the first hormone is growth hormone. Growth hormone is the hormone which is responsible for normal growth of our body. During childhood, if amount of growth hormone is released in lesser amount, then it leads to a disease which is known as dwarfism. But if it is releases in larger amount, then it also causes one another disease which is known as gigantism. If during adulthood, if the growth hormone is released in larger amount, then it produces one another disease which is known as acromegaly. There are besides then that, pituitary gland produces a large amount of hormones such as follicle stimulating hormone, that is FSH. There is luteinizing hormone, there is prolactin hormone, and a large amount of other hormones. All of these hormones are responsible to control each and every other glands which are present in our body. That means the hormone which is produced by pituitary gland induce the another gland to produce any specific kind of hormone. Because pituitary gland control functions of each and every other gland, that's why it is also known as master of orchestra, or it is also known as master gland. It is also known as master gland. But if as we have discussed earlier, that hypothalamus controls the pituitary gland itself. That's why we may say that hypothalamus is basically master of master gland. Okay, that's all for the pituitary gland. Now if we reaches to the thyroid gland basically produces a hormone which is known as thyroxine. And this thyroxine is responsible for oxidation of food. Into our body. Okay, now if we reaches to the another gland, that is parathyroid gland, as we have already discussed, it produces a hormone which is known as parathormone, and which is responsible for maintenance of some minerals such as calcium and phosphorus into our body. Now the another gland which is known as thymus gland. Right? Thymus gland basically produces a hormone which is known as thymosin. Thymosin is the hormone which is responsible for maturation of some specific kind of cells which are known as T lymphocytes. Basically, the lymphocytes are being produced within the bone marrow. Some lymphocytes get matured in the bone marrow itself, which are known as B lymphocytes, and the lymphocytes which are being matured due to the thymosin, these are known as T lymphocytes. This is how thymus plays an important role to develop the T lymphocytes, and as we have discussed in class 9 that lymphocytes are a type of WBC, and WBCs are the cells or the blood cells which are responsible for development of immune system into our body. That means we may also say that the thymus is the gland which plays an important role to develop immune system into our body. Next, thymus gland is have one another specification or specific feature, which is it is just present in childhood only. Childhood only. That means as the person reaches to the puberty, the size of thymus is at its peak, but as the person attains puberty and it move towards adulthood, then the part or the place of the thymus is being occupied by the fatty tissue. That means thymus near about got inactive into the adults. Okay, that is the specific feature about thymus. Now, if we come to the next gland, which is known as pancreas, that pancreas produce pancreatic juice as exocrine part, but as endocrine part it produces a hormone which is known as insulin, and this insulin is responsible for maintenance of blood glucose level into our blood. Okay, that's why the deficiency or excess amount of insulin causes a disease which is known as diabetes. That means diabetes is caused by the insulin. Okay, that is the gland which is pancreas, and the function of insulin is to maintain glucose level into the blood. It maintains glucose level in our blood. Okay, now if we reaches to the next gland, that is adrenal gland. Adrenal gland is the gland which produces the hormone which is known as adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline hormone. Adrenaline hormone is basically the stress hormone. It is being produced to our body during stress situation, such as if any specific hazardous object, such as we just take an example, if a lion came to us, then our body, that is these are our muscles and our brain needs to work hard. To work hard, our each and every tissue needs a large amount of energy, and the energy is being produced by the single process into our body, that is respiration. But to perform respiration, large amount of food and oxygen is required by the cells, and to supply that large amount of oxygen and food, our blood needs to reach fast in all the tissues. That's why to supply the blood faster, our heart blinks faster. That means it increases the heart rate. To supply sufficient amount of oxygen to the blood, we need to breathe more. That's why adrenaline is also responsible for increase in the rate of breathing into our body. This is how adrenaline hormone help us in the situations of stress. That's why it is also known as stress hormone. Adrenaline is known as stress hormone. Now, if we reaches to the next gland, that is ovary. Ovary produces two kind of hormones. Number one, which is known as estrogen, and number two, which is known as progesterone. Estrogen and progesterone both are female sex hormones, out of which estrogen is responsible for development of secondary sexual characters, as well as it is also responsible for maintaining the innermost wall of uterus. It is also responsible for the menstruation. The progesterone is responsible to stop maturation of ovum into the female uh, after pregnancy. It also help the developing embryo to embed into the uterine wall, that is known as implantation. That means it is also helpful in implantation. Okay, this is how these two hormones, both of these hormones are also responsible for development of secondary sexual characters in human females after puberty. Now, if it reaches to the last gland, which is known as testis. Testis is the gland which is present in males. It produces a hormone which is known as testosterone. Testosterone is the male sex hormone which is responsible for development of secondary sexual characters, as well as it is responsible for development and production of male gametes, which are sperms. This is how it is the human hormonal system, and this is the human endocrine system, to which you may note down and be aware about that. It is just, that's all. Thank you very much. Jai Hind.